have just discovered new thing about myself, about my life, and it's so interesting. It's so lovely, and I love. It's almost one of those moments where you can inhale a lot of air in a good way. I can say it's interesting to say the least. So let me explain. Let me give you some context. So for those of you who don't know, I do a lot of self-analysis. I do a lot of tracking of my habits in my life and how do I act in life in general. So about how many months? About 1 year and 4 or 5 months. So about 17 months, 17, 16, 17 months, something like that. I've started a new idea, which is I put a spreadsheet on Excel, an Excel spreadsheet, and I put every trimester, so every 3 months, and I lay down all of the habits and the metrics that I think are important in life. So it varies from 14 to 26, the numbers about that. And it goes through everything, like health, mental health, sports, time consumptions, even little things about confidence, stress levels, like how much sleep quality I have, goal progress, even little details like how I look, am I looking good, looking bad, looking average, honesty, am I honest or not, do I read books or not, little stuff like that. Well, it's not little, but I realize that those are the things that constitute my life. Those are the habits and the patterns that constitute my life. And that was my idea. And my idea was I laid them down, I studied them, and I look at the best 3 months of my life. It was from 2021. So 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25. So I have 5 years written in that spreadsheet by now. And I look at the best version of myself. So let's say in June 2023, I was the best version of myself. I just look at that trimester and see what are the things that I did. So I'm like, okay, well, I didn't consume social media, I did sport, and I didn't read books. And the idea behind it is if I can just replicate the actions that I did, I can replicate the results, which is the best version of myself. Very simple theory. And it was based on actually the idea I would say like primarily it was based on Alex Hermosi's quote, which is you have to measure if you care, or what and also some other books, but these are similar words, which is what don't get measured, what gets measured get managed. Alex Hermosi recently said, if you don't measure, you don't care. Or I read it in a book, I don't know. But it's whether Alex Hermosi or Patrick Bet-David in his book, How to Choose Your Enemies Wisely. But nevertheless, there's a lot of quotes. The reason why I say Alex Hermosi, because he even made it on a story one day I've seen on Instagram. Someone called him, he said, what's the best way to learn? Is it like certain books that you read? And he said, one primary, if I have to say just one thing in my life that I have learned a lot, which is data, which is analysis, like data. And it's made me learn more than any book I've ever read in my life. And it will do for yours too. So I said, that's interesting. So instead of just doing it for business, or doing it, why don't I do it for my life, which is my life is more important? Anyway, that was just the same. That was the context of how I made this idea into existence. Nevertheless, it doesn't really matter. I've made this video for one singular reason, which is I've just made a discovery about myself. I've made a video recently talking about how in the past few weeks, I haven't been the best version of myself. I wasn't so much productive. It felt there was something wrong. I didn't know what it is, and it was bothering me. The end of 2025, the beginning of 2026, and I'm like, something is wrong. I have made the New Year's resolution. I have analyzed 2025. I've analyzed 2026 and predictions and goals and results and whatever bullshit. And I've leveraged AI to do that. I've leveraged my thinking, my not really creativity, but let's say creativity and my thoughts. And how I operate and read books. I usually read a lot of books in the last quarter of 2000 of whatever year. So I get ready for the next year and I learn from that year. But nevertheless, I've done all these and still nothing worked. Nothing clicked. As an example, so let me explain this. Like, I always wake up and I said there's something wrong. I've made the New Year's resolutions. I've made the vision board sketches. I've made these. I've made all of them. Still something's wrong. It's not like last year's or the year before it when my New Year's resolutions were just spot on. I felt like that was it. That was the right call. I've measured the past correctly. I've understood the past. I've analyzed the past. And I can genuinely say and bet my life's money, my own life, on that singular objective that I've made for that year. It wasn't the case this year. I was almost like scattered, almost like a scattergun. And I was like, that's kind of not who I am. There's something's wrong deep in me. I really understood, but I didn't know what it is. I didn't know if I didn't analyze the data, haven't made enough goals, or is it just, I was even thinking, am I even doing it wrong? Am I just like not good enough? Am I just, going through a rabbit hole where I'm going through a downward spiral? That can't be true. That's not even humanly fucking possible. Not for me anyway. Okay, so there's something wrong and I have to find out about it. So that was the entire theory. I was like, okay, fuck. I can't really pinpoint what it is. I've tried and I was like, okay, let's analyze. Didn't work. I've even like when I architecture the goals, I've changed them and I tweaked them. And in my mind, I'm always like unconsciously doing those calculations. Today, I had dreams about what I should do. It's how much I'm obsessed with this. But nevertheless, nothing clicked, nothing worked. But today, I've had this idea. I don't know how I have or when I had this, what's the exact time I had this revelation, but I'm pretty sure this afternoon or at noon, I was eating or something and I was like, or I was probably in the toilet, I don't know. But I was doing my life work, whatever, or cooking, and I was actually questioning myself. I said, okay, was there any quarter where I was the best version of myself? And I said, yes, the last quarter was the best version of myself. And I questioned that as I'm very careful with being the best version of myself. I said, okay, let's question that. Because I know exactly the 6 months that I know I was the best version of myself in the past 5 years. So the first 6 months of 2021 were the best version of myself. And that was the entire conclusion of all of those analyses that I've given in the context. I said, okay. Well, if I take these 3 months, which is the last quarter of 2025, and these 2 quarters, which are the first 2 quarters, the first 6 months of 2021, is this better than them? I said, okay, let me think of that. Well, there is a lot of things that I did here that I couldn't even do in those 6 months. Like I was in the gym, I took a truck's driver's license. I thought, well, in those things I was actually better in even those 6 months. I have realized that those were the best version of myself. Those were the best 6 months being the best version of myself. So okay, that's interesting. But as an overall, is it the best version of myself? So I can't really conclude that. I can't say that these 3 months are better than these 6 months, period. So there's things that these 6 months are outraging, are outstanding in these 3 months. And there's these 3 months, there's some things that are better than these 6 months. I said, look, okay, that's quite interesting. That's quite bold. It doesn't not bold, but just interesting. I said, okay, what I have to do to really understand the past, because there is a big thing that has happened in the last 6 months that I haven't really pinpointed. And I can't go on acting as if I have got it all, when I haven't even understood the past to go through the future, which is the exact problem that I had for the past few weeks. I almost felt as if I'm floating. Napoleon Hill called it drifting. It was almost as if I'm drifting, and I know I'm not drifting. I know I'm not a drifter. I know that I'm going through the upward spiral, but in the past few weeks I was scattered. So I pull up my spreadsheet of my computer, open a new sheet, and I took those 6 months, so 3 months, and the last quarter of 2025, just the last quarter, and I put them all together. So ranked, and I put my theory of the optimal best version of myself, the optimal results. I put it down. I even put another optimal version of myself in other metrics. Like instead of saying good, bad, and average, I rank it from 0 to 10. If it's good, I say 10. If it's low, I say 0, which gives just more accurate understanding of the fact, more than just good and bad and average. So I did that. And I was looking through each and every metric of it. So let's say health. Well, all of them, I was taking care of my health in very similar. So it's like 10, 10, 9.5. I'm like, okay, it's very sports, 10, 10, 9.5. I'm like, okay, well, it's pretty similar here. Okay, let's see some other stuff. Confidence, 10, 10, 10. Okay, cool. What sleep quality, 10, 10, 10. All right, interesting. Reading books, yes. Okay, good, interesting. Let's see this. Let's see that. Let's see this. And I went through it. And a lot of the things were pretty similar, but still, a lot of these things I always do in all the other trimesters, in the other quarters. So it's like, there's something. But I didn't even say that. I just thought of that before. In the first 5 minutes, I'm just going through the first slot, second slot, third slot, and I found the time consumption slot. Okay. First trimester. So these are all the best version of myself. First trimester, which was the first 3 months of 2021, the time consumption was sales and schools. It was the most time consuming activities. I was going to school at the time. I was in high school. So going to high school, in my free time, I just do sales. Try to sell, buy and sell some bullshit. Okay, good. The second 3 months, which is like the best 6 months, as I said, which is also the second quarter of 2021, it was school, as I had the final exam of high school. I thought, all right, fair. And then I found the last quarter of 2021, it was trucks driver's license, which was the most time-consuming activity. I still was going to college, but the number one thing that really consumed my time, other than college, it was trucks driver's license. And it just took me off guard. It was like, I always thought that the best version of myself in time consumption slot, it was sales. It has to be sales. But now, it seems like it's not the case. The best 9 months of my life, only 3 months that was sales, the top priority or the top time consuming activity. And going back as a flashback to 3 weeks ago, actually, I that's what I thought. So I have filled the last quarter data about 3 weeks ago, and when I got to time consumption, I said trucks driver's license, and I said, fuck, I fucked up. I'm not the best version of myself because I haven't done sales. So in the next, the upcoming week after that, I was just doing sales. I've made a lot of tasks about sales, like micro tasks in my days that are just go up by defaults every day, every single day, repeatedly, about how to do sales and specifics about sales and specific parts about sales. And I still, as I said, I haven't found the good spot. It's like, fuck, huh? Then time consumption, being the best version of myself, it doesn't have to be sales in college. It doesn't have to be sales in school. So what is it? I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay, it's free time. In all of these months, I didn't have free time. So I put free time and I went through all the 5 years, filled it, and I looked at it. I said, fuck, it's not that. Because I had months where they had the same free time as these best version of myself. I knew it wasn't that. I said, fuck, I haven't articulated it enough. I haven't articulated it good enough. I said, okay, let's type, it's like how much free time I have as constructive activity, time-consuming activities, formal time or something like that. It was time-consuming activities, free time, some bullshit, whatever. And I did it. I went through it. Just didn't work. I did the reverse. So instead of, so I did, first I did how much free time I had. So in the best months, it was 0. And the worst months, it was 10. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the best. As I had months where I was busy, but I wasn't the best version of myself. I did how much not free time I had, which is pretty much just the inverse. I said probably I will like sometimes just tweak things and you get different results. I still didn't get it. It was different results, but still wasn't it. So I found out because I was trying to articulate, I had a feeling. I had this feeling, this idea that I'm feeling it, but I couldn't articulate it. And I articulated it the best way I could, which is having formal, time-consuming activities, constructive, formal, time-consuming activities. And I put it, and it was perfectly aligned. Perfectly aligned. Only in the best version of myself. Everything else, every other trimester didn't have it. I said, fuck, I just found a new thing about myself. And I'm writing it down in my book, in my notebook. I'm like, fuck, let me write down. Fuck it. Okay, I've just made new revolution, new fucking exploration about myself. I haven't done this in a while. Fuck. I understood, I explored new thing about my life. I'm exploring myself by analysis and tracking my habits. Okay, I find out that I have to have formal, time-consuming, full blocked schedules, which includes driver's license tests in general, college, school, university, college, working formal jobs, theater workshops, going to the gym, learning languages subscriptions. These are the top 6 that I really could mention. I even leveraged AI to suggest some other activities. I couldn't find any. At least not for now. Now let me explain the revelation. It just makes so much sense in a way that I'm almost loving it. I always thought to go from a bad version of myself, the worst version of myself, to best version of myself, it's always about the details. Which is a thought that I had, especially in the worst periods of my life. The worst months where I was the worst version of myself. Fuck, I was always thinking about the details. Oh, it's little details that I have made. Even in my life, it was in videos, I make little details that nobody noticed. In my work, I write a little bit different. In my exams, I write a little bit different. But it's a big wrong, as a lot of the things that makes us the best version of myself are not necessarily small. Because I was going through the list of what makes me the best version of myself. Most of them were small, right? It's like, think about it. As an example, I'm gonna be honest. One of the slots I have is eyebrows shaving. Eyebrows, unibrow shaving. I have a unibrow by birth. I have a unibrow, like I have a bit of a connected eyebrows. Which I also, about 4 years ago, I have realized that, well, I have to not have a unibrow for my videos to perform better. Which is wrong, as I had very major insecurities afterward, and I went through fucking spirals. I almost felt gay most of the times. And I'm not saying anything wrong with that. You can do whatever. It just wasn't for me. And I went to a psychologist who said, fuck that. You shouldn't be doing that. It's just better. So it just gives me fucking insecurities. It was that one of the slots. I shouldn't shave my eyebrows. So weird. You're like, huh, so interesting. Little details you're actually monitoring to see how makes the best version of yourself. That's how far I go, right? And this is almost one of the things that you're like, this is not a small thing. It's an obvious, it's not really something crazy, but it's just interesting. It's interesting, that's how I would say. It's interesting how the best version of myself has formal, time-consuming activities. No disrespect for YouTube. No disrespect for whatever I have. I almost want to say passionate. I love making YouTube videos. I'm passionate about making YouTube videos, and it's, I'll say, my job, but it's not paying me now. So anyway, I'm almost passionate about it. But the amount of commitment that I commit myself when it comes to college or driver's license test is a bit different than how I'm committed to YouTube. I'm gonna be honest. As internship, I'm not the type of nerd who's like every detail and everything I have to understand. I pass the exams, but I go to lectures every day, go to internship, and I come back with driver's license test. I go to the agency, get my lectures, and come back. Right? I do my exercises, etc. With YouTube, it's a little bit different. It's like, I'm still in the house. I'm trying to fix that. I'm going to libraries to edit, but it's just like, I'm still in the house. I have a better studio now, but it's like, well, it's just not the same. But having formal time blocks is better. Now, let me explain this theory. It's not a theory, it's a fact now, but such a fucking crazy genius. I'm a genius. I was thinking about while making, I was thinking with myself, and that's why I figured that I should make a video actually saying what I'm thinking out loud. So I was putting the table that the camera is on right now. While I was walking behind, taking a turn behind the table to probably grab water, drink water, I was thinking, fuck. What makes me or us, what makes us the best version of ourselves is how we choose our time. Everybody has the same 24 hours, have the same fucking time. What makes us better versions of ourselves is the best use of our time. One of the most guaranteed ways to have a good consuming constructive activities that consume our time is having formal commitments or subscriptions like college, university, driver's license tests. I would say even theater workshops, learning courses, subscriptions, not online, but actually I go there and I'm present. Having a full-time workshop, working a full-time formal job. These are time-consuming activities that take a block of your time, and they're constructive and they're commitment because you're committed. You have to go there. Whether you paid to go there or you're going to get paid to go there, it's just like a fucking commitment. And it's just simple. You understand why it's interesting? I have thought, well, it's just simple. Let me explain this. Let me drive this even more home. The reason why I had this revelation more than anything else, because in this quarter specifically, because I have had this analysis framework, as I said, for 16, 17 months. So I have already been used to, usually I go back and I look at it and analyze it in different ways. I leveraged AI to analyze it, find patterns for me. But what I have done is just a bit different. You can say by coincidence. In the last quarter, it was that I haven't had free time. In a way that's different than I usually have it. Let me explain. As an example, let's say I have college only in the morning. It's not usually like that. I rarely have it. But let's say I have college just in the morning. In that period, let's say November. November was the best version, hands on heart, the best version of myself. More than even October or December. I analyze it by quarter, but I know November is pretty much the best version of myself, more than even these two. So it's like, what I was doing? I wake up 7:30, 8, whatever, it depends on the day. I go college or internship. So at 8:30 to 12:30, I'm there. If it's an internship, it's 1 p.m. So I go there the entire morning. Let's say, hypothetically, so just to explain this, to drive this home, let's say I'm free in the evening, which doesn't happen, it rarely happens. But let's say I go to internship or college lecture in the morning. So from 8:30 to 12:30 or 1 p.m., I come back home, I eat a bit, I eat tea, I drink tea, or I make some food, or I cook, or whatever. And then I go to the agency driver's license. Whether 2:30 or 3 p.m., I'm there, I gotta be there. And I stay there for another 4 hours, 3.5 hours, 4 hours. I go out at 6:30 p.m., I come back to the house. I eat a little bit, maybe got another teapot or drink something, cook something, and I go to the gym. Another hour and a half there. So let's say I go there at 7, I come back at 8:30, 9 p.m., sometimes 10 p.m. if I don't go there early. I come back, I eat if I have something to eat, or I cook whatever, and I sleep every single day. It was just like that. Every single day I have that days. It was just that simple. It was nothing else. It was nothing else. It was just that. Literally nothing else. So like, that's quite interesting. I don't usually have it. I don't have it all the time, right? I'm like, that's interesting. Let me look at the best 6 months, the previous 6 months. I was like, let me look. At those times, I also had commitments and engagements. So I was going to school at the time. I was high school, final year of high school, so senior high school. It's not junior, right? Junior is small, it's young. Yes, senior high school. So the last year of high school, I was going there. It was hard. I had to study, whatever, blah blah blah. So I was going to call. I was going to school, coming back to the house every single day, and preparing when I have exams. Only when I have exams, just to pass the exam, right? And at the same time, I was training. I wasn't going to the gym, but I was training. I was doing a home workout. I was very disciplined with that. And more than that, I was doing sales, which is what my theory, which was like sales is the best version of myself. But really, it was time consuming activity. It was a bit formal because I really respected it. It was the best version. It was like the first time in my life that I've been doing it. So when you're doing something for the first time for your life, it's all new. I'm not used to Facebook Marketplace, and I'm buying a couple of things and I'm reselling. So it was like wholesale, like just buy a few things, sell them back on Facebook, and doing the delivery on my bike. So that was very time consuming. So I was going to school. When I come back home, I try to sell some bullshit. I sell on Facebook Marketplace, deliver it to people by bike, whatever. So I was doing school and doing sales. I was training. I was doing some home workouts, and I was very respectfully doing the home workouts, and I was also respecting a very good YouTube video uploading schedule, which was like a video every week for a while, which means that I didn't have a lot of free time. I still had social life, and I was sitting with my friend, etc. And I was making TikToks, I was making some bullshit, but it was like my time was full. I was like, well, that's interesting. And even in the second quarter of 2021, which is also, as I said, those 2 quarters were the best version of myself. First 6 months, the best 6 months of my life. That was a bit different, as I have been training for 1 month, so April, because the second quarter is April, May, and June. So April I was training, but I'm pretty sure in half of it, or at first of April I have stopped training. I don't remember, but it was in that period. So I was training until until I started. So I had 3 weeks until my exam, or 1 month and a half until my final exam in high school. I was like, I'm pretty far behind, because I was doing all these time-consuming activities now to recover. So I was going all in on school. And in that period, all what I did was school. I was like waking up, doing school, sleep. Sometimes I would strategize for my YouTube or write thumbnails, whatever, when I have a bit of free time, or just when I, be creative, because I was pretty creative back then. I was like, that's interesting. But that was a bit of different because it was like exam, or maybe I just don't understand it yet. Because now I'm like, fuck, maybe I haven't understood it yet. But nevertheless, the point was that I had a formal time blocks, schedule, time-consuming activities. It's so interesting. And let me be honest, I feel happy now. I really genuinely feel happy. Not in an euphoric way, like I know I'm fucked. I know I'm fucked. No, I know I have fucked up life right now, and I have to fucking, But still, I think I really, it's just interesting to have such a revelation. I'm exploring who I really am. In the last video I've made, it was actually about how I learned things about my life and about myself, and how instead of looking at the answer outward, I had looked at it inside of me, inward. It's just the same. Instead of exploring the world, I'm exploring who I really am, myself, in a way that I can't lie and I can't even think. This is not thoughts, which is what I had before. I remember when I was young, even not 3 weeks, but 3 years ago, I always judged myself about how I think. The good thing about these, exploring myself, is what I do, what I act, despite of the illusions that I believe in myself. Because I'm gonna be honest, and this is me being harsh, as today I'm talking about this topic, which requires honesty and being harsh. Because if I'm not harshly honest, I cannot understand. If I'm just gonna lie and say I'm the best fucking version of myself every single time, I will never be the best version of myself. I'll never understand it properly. So to understand it correctly, I have to genuinely fucking harshly reply and fill in the slots that I have every trimester, every quarter. So one other thing that I want to brutally state and say in here or share is I'm delusional. I am delusional. And you have to be honest. This is not part of my analysis, but I have been delusional for pretty much all my life, which is what I have explored in the last video, or the last two videos. No, not the last video, the video before it. I have explored how delusional I am. I just believe in things that doesn't exist. I'm like, in the next month, I'm gonna be this, and it's just some crazy thing. But these delusional, unrealistic beliefs is what gives me the power and really gives me the core and fire and helps me go through life. But really, when it comes to the real life realities and me actually exploring myself and almost like these moments, I don't know how to articulate these moments. I have to step out of the delusion. I can't just be delusional and say I'm always the best version of myself, because I know I'm not. This is harshly honest. And in these periods, I don't even want to say in these periods, but it's just harshly honest. I'm not the best version of myself all the time. Period. I can't think of something else or a better way to explain or articulate it. I'm just not the best version of myself all the time. If it was, I wouldn't make these videos. I wouldn't make this analysis. I wouldn't even think of the analysis in the first place. I would already have all what I want, which I don't. Clearly. Oh, fuck. I'm fucking doing horrible in my life right now. But nevertheless, being harshly truthful to myself before everybody else, right? Nobody's gonna know what exactly I have been doing. The point is, I have to be harsh. Nobody really cares. And it's not for people to see or judge me. It's for me to help myself understand myself better. And I'm not gonna lie, wallahi, which means I swear to God, I feel comfortable now. And it does have nothing to do about the comfort zone. But I really have felt comfortable. I felt comfortable now. I have discovered this about myself because it helps me understand myself better and not only do guesswork, not only think that this is wrong, this is right, but actually understand myself better and look at the patterns in my life and how I was the best version of myself, what made me the best version of myself, what makes me the best version of myself, etc. And I think it's extremely important to I think it's extremely important for me to do this more than anything else. For me, other than anyone else.